it's kind of logical if black's pawns, you know, immobilized like this. You can start playing around with the blockade squares like c4. So he plays queen d7, which again, you know, it's nice and pretty to get the queen to d5, but is the queen going to be a liability later on d5? That's the question. So I castle queenside, and then obviously I can't really do much to stop queen d5. And it's here that I'm starting to sense that the opponent, you know, David is trying to set up a blockade against me, some sort of fortress. And I was wondering why. Maybe he just thought that his team outrated us on lower boards, the 6-board match. And maybe he was just content with a draw. And I didn't really expect this continuation at all. I played knight g3 to undouble my pawns. By the way, the theme of the video, I think, is it'll be good to say exploiting, you know, the opponent trying to create a fortress. So exploiting the fortress. So here, black tries to create a fortress because he plays knight takes g3, and now he just blocks up the position, which I know it seems logical and safe to stop me ever playing h5. But he's still got to be a bit wary if there isn't an opportunity later for me maybe to play g4 as a pawn sack. But at the moment it's impossible. But yeah, he's clamped down on the king side counterplay. So if I'm going to open up the position, it's going to be on the queen side, maybe later with a5, or it's going to be in the centre with d4. And with this in mind, I thought, well, if I ever play d4, he's always got c4. So with that in mind, that he's going to play c4, if I ever have this plan of d4, I prepare it with b3 first. So I'm strengthening my grip on that c4 square, and also stopping maybe an annoying, you know, queen a2 to a3 and queen b4. I'm not particularly keen to undouble my opponent's pawns at the moment. So he plays king h7, and here I think I don't like this exposure actually of his queen to my rook. Apart from that, there's nothing much going on in the position. You know, his bishop's kind of blocked in at the moment, and even on that diagonal, you know, there's the pawn on c5. So if he plays e6 and bishop f8, so what? So the only thing I'm worried about a bit is, or maybe worried is too strong a term, is that pressure. I wanted to do something with this rook, and I thought also it could usefully come to maybe double up with this other rook to prepare d4 gradually. So I play rook hf1, and he plays e6. With e6, you know, although he's totally stopping now g4 with the idea of f5 later, it seems a bit maybe overkill. He's putting all these pawns on light squares, so it's like playing drafts or something. But he's also, you know, he hasn't locked down on my a5. And, you know, Alex, we were discussing in post-mortem with Alex Eflontis as well, and maybe black doesn't want to play a5 because it might create too many weaknesses later if white gets in d4, because b6 then will be more of an exploitable weakness once the position opens up in the centre if white is playing for d4. So maybe he was right not to play a5. Let's check what Rybka thinks here is a good move, actually. So, queen g2 or king g8, so nothing much going on anyway. So now I play a5 because I have an idea that maybe I've also got king b2, rook a1, and maybe, you know, try and infiltrate via the a file. And in mind came this game from years ago in the Lloyds Bet Masters. I remember Hebden beating some GM with this like a file attack. It was quite, I don't know, beautiful in some way. It just came to mind that the a file can be used for an attack sometimes. Anyway, he plays rook fe8. I play king b2, and now he plays bishop f8. So black's position is quite passive. I think he offered a draw at this point, at some point near here. It might have been with bishop f8. Now I play rook f2, yeah. So I'm now guarding against any queen g2, which might be annoying. But I'm also, more importantly, going to play rook d2 and potentially with d4. So note that he won't have that reply c4 because of this pawn on b3. And he starts to panic a little bit. He doesn't want his queen stuck on d5 as a tempo gain if I am going to open the position up with d4. So he starts retreating his queen. He plays queen d7. After rook fd2 he plays queen b7. And I'm thinking, you know, my opponent's like, you know, higher rated than me. He's playing, you know, passively. And as though he wanted the draw, I wanted a fortress. But, you know, I do have the opportunity, if I'm willing, to undouble the opponent's pawns, to create some opportunity to win this game. So there's a small window of opportunity. But it means I must undouble his pawns. But he thought, and I think he may be quite right, that he was okay here still, even after this undoubling. Because black can still set up a blockade. So after d4, he took on d4 and simply plays rook d5. But the position is slightly more open now, so I've dissolved his double pawns, which in theory, you know, was a silly thing to do. But I've got more pressure on his position. I play rook takes d5, and he plays c takes d5, which Rybka gives us okay. And now I take on b6, so we see he's got an isolated b pawn. After ab, I play rook a1, and white's slightly better here, according to Rybka. There is pressure. So this, although I haven't been able to use that d file, I have created some other interesting opportunities here. And I haven't got too many weaknesses in my position. And if maybe I've got queen d3, for example, then either b5 or a6 might be useful. But also maybe I'd want to play bishop d4 and c3 to try and stop any d4s from black. He played actually here king g8, and I was a bit surprised by that. I was expecting actually just black to get counterplay on the c file with rook c8. If rook c8, for example, and now queen d3, then what would be wrong with queen c7? I think this would be fine now. Just putting pressure on that c2 pawn. If c3, bishop c5, say, I don't think white's got that much here. It's 0.28. Say bishop takes, queen takes. It seems like maybe this check is harmless here. If queen d4, then queen b5. I'm just running for a Rybka line here. Black's got counterplay, enough counterplay. I think this is fine for black. He did something disastrous, approaching move 30, which was the time control to get an extra 15 minutes. After king g8, queen d3, he played a disastrous move. Just at the time control, this is the final move he needed to play to get the extra 15 minutes. So he was down to a few minutes and played bishop c5. And it annoyed me because I was, preparing, for this idea of me playing bishop d4 and c3. So I thought, oh, that's that plan blown out the window, and that was his intention. And I thought, well, maybe he's also, this ending isn't that great. If I try and play bishop takes c5 and b take and queen a6, have I really got anything here? Well, maybe I have got an edge here. He doesn't have to trade queens though. He can play queen b8. Maybe rook a5. Maybe this is okay. In fact, it could be quite dangerous for white. I didn't look at this in detail. I didn't see rook a5, for example. So this is just Rybka saying it's better for white here by a pawn advantage. So that a file was useful in this line. And if he does take queens here, then my rook's more active and attacking e6. And then here, apparently rook c6. Yeah, maybe this would be slightly better, this ending. But I found a much stronger move here. I found Rybka's top move, actually. I wonder if you can spot it. If I give you 5 seconds, can you spot my next move? So 5 seconds starting from now. Okay. I played queen b5. So I don't mind leaving the bishop in pre because I'm attacking his rook. And I'm also threatening bishop c5, and there's a nasty pin on his queen. So it seems quite a juicy move to play. And it seems as though he's holding up things with his next move. He plays queen e7, but there's a fly in the ointment here. Can you spot it from this position?